A group of men enters the main hall. One of them questions whether the information is wrong, but believes it since it came from Lord Zeus. He then asks if he is the only one who sees no demonic beasts, not even an ant. The subordinate comments that the rumor of Chief Nagi's arrival must have spread. His companion agrees that this would make sense. They find themselves in a vast hall, now in ruins. One of the men wonders what place that is, since it was not on the map. Another points toward an exit with a staircase leading upward. Before them lies a staircase and a corridor. The subordinate looks at the map and says they should go up since the other path seems ominous. Nagi recalls that the ill neon gang was supposed to take care of the upper floor. He then points toward the corridor and states that they will go that way, and with a gesture orders the group to move forward. But the subordinate questions the sudden order. Nagi insists that he go. The lackey then obeys his chief and turns to leave. Under the commander's gaze, he enters the dark corridor. From there, he turns around and reports that there is nothing there. Another man also reports to Nagi that there is nothing as a creature emerges behind him. The beast attacks the man. A pack of wolves emerges from the darkness. The creatures advance, and then the entire pack runs out of the corridor. A barrier rises from the ground, blocking the passage. One of the men reacts to the appearance of the creatures. The group now finds itself surrounded by wolves in the middle of the hall. One of them asks what they will do with so many demonic beasts. The commander grabs him and throws the question back at him. He shouts that if they want to live, then they must fight. Then he orders his men to move out and block the creatures. The beasts advance and attack the rest of the group. Nagi, the leader of the group, presses himself against the wall and then lets his sword fall to the ground. One of the wolves leaps toward him to attack, but the creature is struck in the neck by an arrow. The man watches the beast's body fall before him. The wolf now lies dead on the ground. On the upper floor, an archer asks if they want help. The commander recognizes him and calls out to his brother, "Our boy." Our boy lands on the ground and comments that the timing was perfect. He then tells Nagi to watch closely. Our boy grips his weapon and declares that this is the level of a master swordsman. The wolf then lunges forward to attack, but he pierces the creature through its mouth. With a single strike, he cuts the animal in half. The other beasts rush toward him. Our boy then attacks and brings down the entire pack at once. The remaining men celebrate the victory of the newcomer. Our boy now stands amid the bodies of wolves. Nagi approaches and praises him, saying that a master swordsman is on another level. He then wonders what reward Count Zeus will give him. Nagi claims that he could have handled all of that on his own, but our boy replies that he is only first-rate with his mouth, since his swordsmanship is low class. He then advises him to train more if he wants to become stronger. Nagi agrees with a smile on his face. He then states that he will have to do so. In the ruins of Il Neon, in the city of Kushan, a camp has been set up. Bursun runs toward our boy and asks him about the reason for his delay. Our boy apologizes and says that unforeseen events occurred. Bursun informs him that Count Zeus was there and that the situation is not good. Our boy then asks what happened. He hands him a scroll and says that the Count took the children. Our boy opens the scroll to read the message, but its contents leave him in shock. The scroll orders him to kill Delkashu in return. The Blood Count Delkashu is a powerful vampire who possesses true blood. He is also the master swordsman who rules the city of Kashu, making him Zeus's mortal enemy, and in order to receive Zeus's support, they end up doing all kinds of dirty work for him. Prince Our Boy only wanted to leave that place with the children and live in peace, but Bursun laments having been loyal to that wretch for more than 10 years. Our boy prepares to depart with his companions. His companion tries to stop him, reminding him that Count Delkashu is a pure-blood vampire, but he replies that he has no reason to live without his brothers. The man questions where he thinks he is going in his condition, since he has just returned. He then replies that they cannot afford to lose any more time, since the children have been taken. Bursun insists that it is too dangerous, since he has specialist-level vampires under his command. Our boy then calls him by name Sir Berzin and declares that this is an order. The man lowers his head and agrees, addressing him as Your Highness. Our boy then orders Sir Berzin to stay behind and take care of his brothers. He promises that he will surely win and return to fix everything. Berzin watches as our boy and his group move away. He then clenches his fist and decides that this time he cannot obey that order. In the continental year 1337, on March 11th, the kingdom of Manhwa is in flames. The queen of the kingdom of Manhwa orders them to take our boy and leave, saying that she will hold them off. But Bursun, the commander of the knights, refuses and declares that he will stay to protect the queen. The queen then tells Sir Berzin that what he must protect now is the bloodline of the kingdom of Manhwa. He hesitates to carry out the order. Kneeling before the second prince, she instructs him to survive at all costs. She then reminds him that he must also fulfill his duty to the royal family. The prince tells his mother that he does not want to flee alone. She then removes her necklace and places it around his neck, stating that it will surely help him. With one final request, she asks him to restore the Manhwa royal family. Berzin swears to dedicate his life to serving His Highness as the sky burns in flames. Unable even to die, he narrowly escapes, carrying only the second prince. He failed to protect them as the capital burned, and he was forced to flee without being able to protect either the king or the queen. Of all days, that day was precisely His Highness the Second Prince's 13th birthday. The prince, who witnessed the death of his family, looked upon the burning sky as the kingdom of Enroa came to an end. The kingdom, with its 500 years of history, had perished. They reached the escape route and, together with the last noble heirs and 20 knights, prepared to cross the border. On the first day of April of the continental year 1337, they sail across a raging sea. Amid the storm, the group manages to cross the border into Roxium. On August 23rd of the same year, they finally arrive at their destination. The group enters Robberland, a lawless land that shelters criminals and fugitives from all over the world. After 2 months in the city of Kushan, many knights have died along the way, and now only 12 remain. The second prince, our boy, is now the only legitimate heir, along with the last successors of the noble families. They must protect them, even if dishonor and misery await them. Their journey leads them to the castle of Count Del Cassio in the city of Cassio. Through a window, they spot a hall filled with bodies. Her son cuts his way through the enemies inside the castle. He presses his wound and tells himself to endure a little longer. Then he runs toward where His Highness, our boy, is, and he prays that he will please be safe. He finally reaches a blood-stained double door and opens it. Bersun stops when he sees what lies inside. The throne hall is destroyed and filled with bodies. At the top of the staircase, Del Cassio lies dead on his throne, a sword lodged in his chest. Bersun looks around and asks what happened. After hearing a cough, he spots our boy on the stairs and calls out to him. His eyes widen at the sight. The prince is lying on the steps, gravely wounded. Our boy says that everything is already over. Bersun asks if it is truly over. He then remembers the promise he made to the queen to protect the Van Rohe bloodline. He wonders whether all their despair and hope will truly end like that. With a determined expression, he refuses to accept such an ending. He then declares that it cannot end this way. With his fist clenched, he approaches our boy's body on the ground. Bersun carries him on his back, determined to save His Highness. 3 years later, life goes on in the ruins of Ilneon, in the city of Kushan. 2 children run and play together through the village. A young man with a prosthetic arm works at a construction site. Our boy pauses for a moment when Bersun calls out to him. The older man walks toward him. From the top of a ladder, our boy notices his arrival. The prosthetic on his leg slips off the step and he loses his balance. Bersun supports him and asks if he is alright, but our boy wants to know what the Count said. He replies that, as always, the Count told him to wait another month. Our boy says they can manage for now, and then they will ask again next month. Bersun reminds him that he told him not to do that kind of thing, but our boy replies with a smile that he cannot ask the children to do it. His companion then comments that those children have already grown up. Even if they have grown up, our boy begins to say something. Bersun interrupts him and guesses that he was going to say that he would protect them. Our boy then finishes by saying that he would regret not having the elixir, and the man agrees. Known as the Potion of Life, the elixir is an ancient miracle found 200 years ago in the Ilneon dungeon. He states that this is merely an old story. Our boy then asks what that has to do with him, and Bersun decides not to say anything more. The older man assumes that a miracle like that will not happen again. 3 youths run toward them calling out to the teacher. They shout for him to be careful as something falls from the sky. Our boy raises his arm and catches a falling sword. With the weapon in hand, he warns that he has just fixed the roof and will not do it again. He then returns the sword to the boy and advises him never to let it go again. The boy justifies himself, saying that he was holding it tightly, but our boy explains that it is not about gripping the sword tightly. He demonstrates that one must brace both legs and distribute the weight throughout the entire body, and then one must visualize the opponent in the mind. He recalls his own battle. In his memory, he was cornered and wounded. Del Cassio leaped toward him for the final attack. The Count swung his sword in a fierce strike. Del Cassio told him that the more one has to protect, the heavier one's thoughts become. Then the vampire ordered him to die, but our boy managed to block the blow with his sword. He declared that he could not die because he had something to protect. Del Cassio grabbed him and delivered another attack. Blood splattered across his face as he defended himself. In his memory, he delivers the final blow against the Count. He grips the wooden sword firmly. Persona and the boy watch him as the wooden beam above them splits apart. The boy comments that instructor, our boy, tore the wooden dummy apart. Our boy looks at the training dummy, now split in 2. He apologizes, explaining that he was only trying to demonstrate the strike and that he will fix it. Another boy runs toward him, calling out to instructor, our boy. The young man arrives and announces that there is a big problem. He says that Daisy and Seclin are in trouble. Our boy's expression changes instantly. Inside a building, he realizes that something is wrong. He runs down the corridor, stating that this is more than a children's quarrel because he smells blood. Our boy then shouts for the children. In a hall, Daisy and Seclin are facing each other with swords. The girl is Daisy of the Ilneon family. The boy is Seklin of the Ilneon family. Nagi greets him and comments that it has been a while, brother our boy. Our boy stares at him seriously. Nagi, Zeus's vassal, asks what he thinks he is doing. He then explains that they are in the middle of an interview. Our boy repeats the word, questioning the interview. Nagi says that if they show potential, he is thinking of making them his direct bloodline. He then asks how he dares to mix his blood with theirs. Nagi refers to him as brother, and begins to say that even becoming the lowest bloodline would be better. It would be better than being under the command of a broken, crippled man without limbs. Then the protagonist asks whether Count Zeus knows about this. Nagi says that his brother truly does not understand the situation, and asks whether he thinks a busy person cares about trivial matters. Our boy asks if he came on his own, even knowing that this is the territory of their family. He confirms that he knew and came because of a rumor that the great master swordsman, our boy, lost his limbs, and all of that because of a few brats. Our boy questions what he just heard. Nagi taunts him, asking if he can even protect them with that body. He orders him to leave the children alone and go away in silence or else he will kill him. Nagi then mocks him and asks whether he even has the power to do that. Our boy rushes forward and attacks him with a punch, but two of Nagi's men block his attack with their swords. He then declares that they are no match and tells them not to underestimate a master swordsman. Bersin warns them not to underestimate a master swordsman as our boy crosses blades with the two men. He then tightens his grip on the hilt of his sword. With a single motion, he sends both opponents flying away. Nagi then praises our boy, saying that he is still as incredible as ever. Our boy comments that newcomers these days have no sense of fear. Nagi simply asks him not to be so harsh, but Del Casio intervenes, stating that their opponent is a monster. Our boy remarks that Nagi still seems around him. Del Casio repeats the word insecure with a smile, and then asks whether that insecurity is toward him as Daisy and Seklin watch. Nagi then draws his sword. Our boy realizes that there is no way out in his current condition. He prepares to decide the fight with a single strike. In an instant, our boy lunges and strikes Nagi. Nagi manages to block our boy's attack with his sword, but our boy states that he caught him. Then he unleashes a flurry of strikes. Nagi counters with a single slash. Next, the blades of the two collide. Our boy's blade shatters upon impact. He then asks our boy what happened to him, and Nagi reveals that his core is completely ruined, and our boy questions him. He then asks whether our boy truly thought he would not reach the highest ranks. Nagi raises his sword and declares that this is why bloodlines are superior. He turns to our boy and asks what he should do with him now. Nagi then suggests killing them one by one as Daisy and Seklin stare at him. Bersun tightens his grip on his sword, deciding that if it is a fight he will lose anyway. He then sheathes his weapon. Bersun simply calls out to Nagi. Our boy asks him to stop there, saying that there are children who need to be protected. Nagi merely laughs and asks what that is supposed to be. He then asks whether the master swordsman, our boy, is begging him. Our boy admits that he is, stating that he knows him very well. He knows that what Nagi wants is to trample him and see him fall. Then Nagi sheathes his sword and says that he cannot let him escape so easily. He cracks his knuckles and says that he also needs to stretch next. Nagi lands a punch to our boy's face. He follows up with another strike. Our boy crashes to the ground from the impact. He steps on our boy's head as he tries to say something. Our boy finally manages to say that he is sorry. Nagi breaks into a smile. He then tells them not to go easy on him. Nagi announces that they will stop for today and continue tomorrow. Two boys approach the fallen, our boy, and ask what they should do now that he is lost, but he replies that everything is fine because it was enough to protect them. Later, in a room, our boy questions Daisy and Seklin about the reason for their actions. He then asks whether they were truly trying to become bloodline relatives. Seklin apologizes to his master. Daisy remains silent with her arms crossed while the boy kneels beside her. Our boy asks if she has nothing to say. He then questions her about what she just said. Daisy asks why she cannot serve under Cassius's command. She reminds him that he himself was once his servant. She then asks him if he has forgotten. Our boy explains that because of Cassius's greedy desire to become a vampire, all of his companions and their families died, and he ended up like that. He then asks her if she now wants to crawl beneath him, and asks whether she intends to live by sucking blood. Daisy stands up and retorts, asking what that has to do with him and whether he is her father. She declares that she will take care of her own life and demands that he stop interfering in her affairs and live his own life. Our boy calls out to her as she runs out of the room. Seklin calls out to his master and then says that Daisy did not mean any harm, and our boy says that he knows. Seklin continues, saying that sometimes it takes courage to kneel in a situation like that. He then tells our boy that he must be in a lot of pain. Seklin says that he will ask Uncle Bersin for a potion. Our boy thanks him as the young man leaves. Then Bersin suddenly enters and asks if our boy is all right, and our boy asks him what happened. Bearson begins to explain that earlier Lena told him something. She heard from Daisy that our boy and Nagi were fighting and that it seemed someone might get hurt, so the girl went to him to ask for help. Lena simply calls out to her uncle. The girl asks why he told, since Daisy had asked him to keep it a secret, and Bearson confirms it. Our boy starts to laugh at the situation, and then he bursts into laughter. He thanks everyone for their concern as Bearson hands him a potion. Our boy takes the vial and also thanks Daisy. Alone, he coughs. Our boy laments that if his core were intact, he could have dealt with Nagi. The scene shifts to two children running happily outside. He then corrects himself, stating that simply protecting the children is already enough. Our boy wonders what he will do, since Nagi will return the next day. He decides that he has no choice but to use the object in his hand. Our boy activates the object in his hand. Then he decides to sell a royal treasure of the Van Roa family to raise funds and protect the children. He considers that the royal seal could be tracked by the Empire, so the only thing worth selling is something else. In the end, he pulls the Book of Destiny from a portal. Our boy opens the book and questions why it is considered a royal treasure. Ancient symbols then emanate from the pages. The book displays a date from the Rusera's calendar, describing the secret chapel of cultists filled with symbols. He is surprised that he is able to read the ancient language. Then the book completely envelops him. A medallion with a star appears. The scene returns to the now empty room. Suddenly, our boy finds himself among people running and wonders what is happening. He runs along with them, questioning why he is there when he was just reading the Book of Destiny. He stops and realizes that this is not an illusion, but a real place. He recognizes the location as the Ilneon dungeon, but wonders why it looks so new. Then the group stops and he questions what is happening and who those people are. One of the hooded men announces that an intruder has entered the chapel. He then orders them to secure the elixir first. Our boy reacts upon hearing the word elixir. He realizes that the structure is identical to the Ilneon dungeon and that the elixir was excavated there in the year 3673 of the Rusera's calendar. This means that he has traveled 10,000 years into the past. The hooded men approach an altar where the elixir is displayed. Our boy watches the scene and confirms that all of it is real. The elixir is there, proving that he truly returned to the past. One of the men picks up a small vial and states that the elixir is secure. Our boy decides that if he can obtain the elixir, he will be able to recover everything he lost. He then counts a total of 12 people around him. He tightens his grip on the hilt of his sword, considering whether he should kill them all and take the elixir. But one of the men orders them to split into pairs and search for the intruder before taking the offering. One of the men assigns the tasks, sending Kaltik and Crumb to the eastern passage and Sairung and Totun to the western one. He then assigns Saruis and Our Boy to the northern passage, and Our Boy is surprised that he knows his name. He wonders why those people from the past recognize him as an ally. Our boy concludes that only a powerful mind-altering magic could cause this, and questions what the Book of Destiny truly is. His new partner draws his attention, asking why he is standing there doing nothing. The man then urges him to hurry. Our boy decides that for now, he will gather information and look for an opportunity. The two walk together down the corridor. They then come across a woman, but she lunges forward and attacks his partner. He defeats her in a single motion. The attacker then turns toward Our Boy. Our Boy questions the transparent trail left by the strike. The man attacks, but Our Boy blocks the blow with his sword. He then tightens his grip on his weapon with force. With a single movement, Our Boy pushes him back. He then comments that the sword's durability is terrible. The attacker wonders whether that is a sword aura or something else. Our Boy realizes that he is not the only one who finds the situation odd. He then decides to test it once more and readies his sword. Suddenly, he has a sharp realization. Two children appear, hiding behind a pillar. They run behind Our Boy, who asks why they are there. The man, now protecting the children, accuses him of having no shame for allying with cultists who kidnap children. She questions him, asking whether he plans to kidnap children and use them as living sacrifices. The scene then shifts to Bearson, serving a meal to his family. Our Boy is also present at the table, smiling. Back in the present, other cultists arrive at the site and ask what happened. They then ask Our Boy whether Sarius was defeated by the intruder, and he confirms it. Their leader then orders them to join forces. The cultists advance in a coordinated attack. The woman is surprised by the sudden assault as the children hide. Our Boy turns to her and says that they should be on the same side. Two cultists run down the corridor toward them. One of them points at the fight and shouts that he found them. He then wonders whether Our Boy was ambushed and orders them to help him. The woman crosses her sword with Our Boy's. Our Boy simply observes the scene. He then attacks one of the cultists from behind. Our Boy stabs him, and the cultist accuses him of betrayal. Our Boy then stands over the man's body. He thanks her for the small performance, which made it easy to kill him. He explains that the man attacked him recklessly, so he merely retaliated to save his own life. Our Boy then asks her to continue helping him just as she is now. One of the cultist leaders approaches, stating that he cannot read that guy. He stops in front of the fallen bodies and asks our boy whether that was a betrayal. The cultist comments that the resentful spirit of someone who died bitterly from betrayal is not bad at all. Our boy and the woman stare at him as he adds the chaotic nature of betrayal itself, and states that with the soul of a noble knight, the Lord will be even more pleased. The woman laments not having called for reinforcements, as she did not expect an advanced specialist to appear there. She glances to the side. The children cower behind her. She then corrects herself, stating that she is an intermediate-level specialist. The woman admits that she cannot defeat him alone and proposes attacking first so that our boy can look for an opening. She then rushes forward and attacks the cultist. He blocks the strike and hits her with a punch. The woman prepares for a counterattack, but he manages to evade her sword. The cultist smiles and prepares to deliver the finishing blow. She simply looks upward toward the imminent attack. Our boy watches the scene carefully. He then steps forward. In an instant, our boy lunges forward at high speed. He then delivers a spinning slash against the cultist. Our boy's attack is blocked by an artifact, and the woman watches the scene. She then rushes in to attack the cultist. He smiles and asks whether she thought he would have died without that. Then, our boy fights against the cultists. Our boy struggles to block the blows, unable to predict the path of the sword. The woman positions herself to attack the cultist from behind. She attacks, but he turns around and blocks her strike. The woman then turns to our boy and asks what he is doing. She questions why he is so weak, and he merely looks at his hand. The cultist taunts him, questioning the usefulness of his technique, since he is nothing more than a mediocre swordsman. He then attacks her with a powerful blow. The woman is thrown away by the impact. The cultist prepares to attack again. He bids farewell to our boy, who recalls all the work he endured under Count Cassius's command. Then our boy decides to show him what a mediocre attack can do. He then uses his aura thread technique. Our boy charges forward and attacks the cultist with his blade. The man is surprised, as our boy's power is on a completely different level than before. The two then collide in a mutual clash. Our boy strikes him with a giant hand formed by his technique. The cultist is hit by the attack. He stares at our boy. Our boy then stabs him in the chest, but his sword breaks and he falls to the ground. The woman merely watches him from a distance, fallen. Our boy gets up and, standing over the cultist's body, asks what he is. He then kneels down and begins to search the man's body. Our boy finds a small wooden box. He opens it and finds the elixir, stating that it is there. Our boy prepares to drink the contents of the vial. The woman questions him about what he is doing. Then the cultist's body dissolves into particles as she calls out to him. A golden pocket watch appears. The scene shifts to ancient ruins under the moonlight. Daisy is outside, wondering where her brother went at that hour of the night. She speaks with Berson, saying that she needs to apologize to our boy even though it is late. Daisy approaches the house, wondering if he has already returned. Her eyes widen. She finds our boy lying on the ground. The girl then calls out for her brother. Our boy is unconscious, holding the wooden box. Beside our boy's bed, Daisy and Berson watch him in silence. She says that she will stay by his side, and Berson asks to be informed when he wakes up. Daisy then agrees with a simple nod. Alone, she continues to watch over him. Our boy remains unconscious on the bed with his injuries. She stares at him intently for a moment. Suddenly, our boy moves on the bed. He raises his prosthetic hand and denies having drunk at all. Then he suddenly wakes up, gasping. Our boy looks at his own hand, confused. Then he turns and notices Daisy's presence. Relieved, she calls him brother and asks what happened, why he disappeared, and why he was covered in blood. He remains silent, leaving her confused by his lack of response. Our boy sits up and asks why she is staring at him like that, confirming that she called him brother. Embarrassed, she denies having said that, but he points out that her eyes and cheeks are swollen from crying. With a smile, our boy asks if she was truly worried, and Daisy confirms it, asking if she should not have been. He then thanks her and pats her head, and she complains that she is no longer a child. Our boy reflects that it had been a while since he last played around like that with Daisy. Suddenly, he brings his hand to his head and loses his balance. She panics and calls out to him as he leans toward the edge of the bed. Our boy looks at his hand and realizes that it was not a dream, it was real. Daisy questions him about his body and then removes his arm prosthesis. Our boy stands up and declares that his body has returned. He staggers forward, declaring that he has returned. Then he collapses to the floor and Daisy screams his name. Voices echo about his arms and legs having grown back and warnings not to pull his arm. Our boy slowly opens his eyes, confused. Berson, Daisy, Seclin, and little Lena stare down at him. Berson asks our boy how such a miracle could have happened. He reveals that he drank an elixir, leaving Berson shocked by the cost of 50,000 dalens for a single sip. Our boy says that first he needs to check something and lifts the blanket. Berson asks if he can move, and our boy replies that he may need rehabilitation, but he will be fine. He approaches a dresser and picks up a small wooden box. Our boy asks Barsoon to accompany him, and he agrees. Together, they look at an empty altar where the elixir should have been. Barsoon asks him what is going on, but our boy admits that he also cannot believe the situation. He opens the box, revealing a key, and says that he needs to check something. A memory shows that security was especially reinforced around the key. This leads him to conclude that it is the key to opening a secret space. He raises the key and a summoning circle manifests from it. The circle then rapidly expands around the two of them. Our boy wonders what it is. Before them, a secret room is revealed, containing treasures and a mannequin wearing a cloak. The gold coins alone are worth 5,000 dalens, and beyond that there are artifacts, ancient swords and armor, and even basic tools. Barsoon questions our boy about how all of this happened, first with his limbs regenerated and now this. With a hand on the back of his neck, our boy admits that he also cannot believe it. Our boy then reveals that he traveled to that very same place 10,000 years in the past. The revelation leaves Barsoon completely shocked by what he heard. Then he realizes that everything was real. Our boy wonders whether the artifact's power is not single use and whether he can return to the past repeatedly. He calls out to Barsoon and states that there is something he needs to do first. Elsewhere, Delcatio smiles with satisfaction. He stretches on a bed surrounded by bodies on the floor and comments that this is what it means to live. He calls out to our boy and asks whether they should go see that trash. When he opens the door, he comes face to face with our boy and asks what that is. Nagi asks if our boy came there to greet him, but then he notices our boy's arms and legs and questions him. Nagi orders his men to quickly inform the Lord that our boy has recovered his core. Our boy draws his sword in response and lunges forward with a swift slash. The attack surprises one of Nagi's men. The strike hits him squarely in the chest, and the other man is struck the same way. Nagi stares at him, unable to understand how that was possible. Our boy tightens his grip and charges toward Nagi. He runs across the hall, ready to attack. Nagi draws his sword to defend himself. Then he blocks our boy's strike. With a smile, he asks whether our boy intends to fight using an aura thread instead of a full blade. Nagi realizes that our boy's core has not fully recovered yet. Our boy grips his sword firmly. He simply asks, "So what?" Then our boy prepares to attack again. Nagi takes a combat stance, stating that he is different from 3 years ago and that he is now an E-class noble. He boasts about his superior physique and his immortal regenerative ability. He would be a worthy opponent even for a master swordsman. Our boy's attack surges toward Nagi. He is struck head-on by the blow, and Nagi's head is severed from his body by the sword strike. The decapitated body then dissolves into particles before our boy. He kneels and states that his core has recovered, but he still needs to gather his aura again. At another time, Daisy asks him whether he truly went back to the past and drank the elixir. Our boy confirms it and explains that he used a treasure of the Van Roa royal family to return to the past. Her son then asks whether he can return again, but our boy says he does not know, since the item no longer showed any reaction. A woman named Sae Malan expresses her doubts, suggesting that perhaps an artifact from the Age of Magic could make it possible. Our boy reflects on whether something so small could truly contain divine power, no matter how ancient the technology. Daisy interrupts him, questioning the elixir discovered 200 years ago, since he drank it 10,000 years ago. He then realizes something and exclaims that she is right, leaving her confused. Our boy remembers that he drank only half of the elixir before returning. He asks Barsoon whether there is any record that only half of the elixir was found, but Barsoon has never heard about the quantity. With his hands raised, our boy concludes that in that case it is impossible to know. They wonder whether a complete elixir was originally discovered, or whether history was altered because our boy drank half of it. Sae Malan then warns him that if he can return to the past again, what he did there could change the entire world. Our boy is asked what he would wish to achieve if he could change the past. He reflects for a moment on his objective. His first goal is revenge for losing his parents and siblings overnight, and his duty as the last member of the Van Roa royal family is the reconstruction of the kingdom. But our boy states that to do that, he must first kill Count Sias. He remembers when he believed that his family's safety would be guaranteed if he became a vassal of the Lord of Kushan. But he realizes that happiness gained through another person's hands cannot be firm. Sae Malan warns him that Count Sias is strong, as he was already a master swordsman and has now taken Delcashu's true blood. Our boy says that this is not an option, and wonders how Kias will react when he discovers how insane he has become. Gathered around the table, he declares that this is an unavoidable fight for everyone. He then informs them that the tax report that must be submitted to Count Sias is due in 3 weeks. Our boy states with conviction that they must settle the matter before then. Our boy trains alone with his sword in a ruined arena. He recalls the swordsmanship used by the cult members 10,000 years ago. It was a persistent and solid technique, possessing a cutting energy. One of the cultists mocked the usefulness of an aura blade and called him a mediocre swordsman who could not read the mind of the sword. But our boy feels as if he is conversing with the blade itself, or rather, as if he has become the sword itself. Then he opens his eyes with a new perception. He grips the weapon and declares that he now understands. Our boy states that it is definitely not an aura. Daisy runs toward him, shouting that something terrible has happened. The mention of Count Zeus's name puts him on alert. In his hall, a man informs the Lord that our boy's family has been invited to the castle in 3 days. Delcasio states that he has waited a long time for the nobles of the kingdom of Vanroa, and that the time has finally come to use them as sacrifices. Our boy reflects that there are only 3 weeks left until the tax deadline, and now the Count suddenly invites them. Berzin raises the possibility that the Count has discovered Nagi's death, but our boy doubts it, believing that he would blame the rebels. Similon intervenes, saying that the real problem is that their plan to assassinate the Count was ruined by the sudden invitation. She reveals that their only chance was when Count Zeus performed his ritual, piquing our boy's curiosity. Similon explains that since what happened to his brother, the Count leaves the castle once a month to perform a ritual alone. Daisy adds that she also saw Zeus's men kidnapping children. Similon concludes by stating that villages unable to pay taxes were exterminated, and that everyone, both bodies and children, is used as sacrifices. Our boy asks why he would prepare corpses and living offerings to abase himself before a being he does not even understand. He laments how much everything changed while he was confined at home with his injured limbs. Our boy then asks Similon how she knows all of this. She simply replies that she has an information network. He grows agitated, questioning how she went alone to such a dangerous city. Similon simply reinforces that their plan has been completely ruined. Berzin comments that Saya is already 20 years old and an adult, but our boy retorts that it is still dangerous for her to walk through the city alone. Daisy then calls him brother. She asks him whether he can truly defeat Zeus. Holding his sword, our boy replies firmly that he must. He then places the blade on the table and states that with it, they have a chance. Berzin recognizes it as the king's sword, a weapon forged by refining celestial silver steel with aura. Our boy raises it and declares that corrupted beings like vampires cannot withstand this blade. Similon says that she believes in him and that if they fail, they can simply die together. Her declaration leaves him visibly surprised. She then closes her eyes and says that she was only joking. Similon concludes that, in any case, they need to find another way to kill Count Zeus. Our boy states that it is risky, but it may be the only option at the moment. The scene shifts to the village of Rera, where some children run through a field. One of the boys shows an enormous mushroom he found, but his friend claims his is even bigger. Excited, one of them runs off, suggesting they go home to measure which one is bigger. The village is suddenly engulfed in a massive fire. Frightened, the villagers wonder what is happening. A knight attacks one of the villagers with his sword. Another man is stabbed from behind by a soldier. A body is then unceremoniously thrown onto a cart. The knights observe the destruction they have caused. They spot the children and order that no one be allowed to escape. A group of soldiers approaches the boys. The boys find themselves cornered by the knights. An arrow is fired at high speed. The projectile strikes one of the knights in the head. More arrows instantly bring down 2 other soldiers. The children look in surprise toward the direction from which the shots came. An archer approaches and asks if they are all right. One of the boys asks him who he is. He introduces himself as Libera Piet Ronda. The children repeat the name, confused. Then they recognize him as the Baron. Randa says that they will talk in detail later. For now, he says they need to leave that place. One of the boys shouts that his mother is still there, but Randa pulls them away from the fire. He realizes that no matter how many of his men they kill, it is impossible to stop it. Randa watches the village in flames and concludes that the Count has truly crossed the point of no return. The scene shifts to the Count's castle under the light of the full moon. Inside the walls, carts carrying covered bodies are lined up. A soldier oversees the line of carts. A subordinate informs Delcascio that a total of 1116 bodies were brought in, more than the designated quota. Delcascio says that he will take care of the rest and dismisses him. He approaches one of the bodies and pulls back the sheet covering it. He rises from one of the bodies and wipes his mouth. With a smile, he comments that our boy's group will enter the palace tomorrow and that the moment he has long awaited is approaching. Then he turns to walk away from the pile of bodies. Suddenly, a hand moves beneath one of the sheets, and Delcascio stops and turns, sensing the disturbance. A sword is swiftly drawn from beneath the sheet. A wave of energy erupts from the cart toward Delcascio. In an earlier conversation, Sayamalan informs that, according to intelligence, the bodies from the village of Ruera will be transported today. She then instructs her brother to pretend to be dead and infiltrate the cart. That way, he would be delivered directly to the Count and must suppress his mana until then. The plan was to attack when the Count lowered his guard. Delcascio blocks the strike and asks what brings him there without notice. Our boy strains against his defense and admits that he knew it would not be easy. Delkashu comments that our boy's body has healed and congratulates him for perhaps having found an elixir. Our boy realizes that the strategy has reached its limit and that in the end, they will have to face each other. Then Delkashu prepares for combat and calls out to him. He invites him to give him the taste of a delicious despair. Our boy focuses and assumes his stance with the sword. He feels the connection with his blade, his eyes preparing to read the heart of the sword. Then the two charge forward and their blades collide. Delkashu is hurled backward by the force of the impact. He recovers and unleashes a wide horizontal attack. Our boy jumps to evade the blow. He lands and turns back toward his opponent. Delkashu charges toward him once again. Our boy prepares for the next move. Delkashu fixes him with an intense stare. Our boy slides across the ground, dodging the attack as it passes by him. He then spins and delivers a swift strike toward Delkashu's neck, but the vampire manages to block the blade at the last second. Delkashu remarks that it was impressive, for if his aura had been weaker, his neck would have been severed. He adds that this was to be expected of the kingdom of Banroa. A new voice reveals that he must be the missing second prince of Banroa, whose body was never found. Delkashu merely comments on how precious that is. He then states that by offering such a valuable soul, his wish will surely be fulfilled. Our boy advances with a powerful arcing strike. Delkashu declares that it is useless no matter how many times he tries. He then blocks the blade with his hand, and claims that the sword will never pierce his aura. Our boy presses his blade harder against Delkashu's hand. Then their powers collide, causing a massive explosion. Elsewhere in the city, the night remains calm under the full moon. Nagi is sitting at a table outside a tavern with a companion. His men approach and ask why he called them. One of them asks if he is planning to stir up some major trouble. Nagi replies that no, but that he received information that something unusual might happen. Another member of the group then asks what kind of information he received. Suddenly, all of them react to a massive tremor. In the distance, they see the collision of energies and wonder if Count Celsius is fighting someone. The men ask if this was what the chief was talking about and who the opponent might be. Nagi takes out a spyglass and wonders who would dare do something so audacious. He decides that they need to check it out and hands the device to one of his men. The man looks through the spyglass and recognizes the person in the fight. Surprised, he wonders if that really is our boy. Nagi asks what he heard, questioning whether our boy's body has truly recovered. In a dark room, Similon tells him that this is the last chance and that it will not come again. She advises him to think carefully so that he will not regret it for the rest of his life. Back in the present, Nagi remains silent. His men ask whether they are just going to keep watching. An image of an archer protecting frightened children is shown. The companions then declare that they should intervene as well. He turns to his men and apologizes. Meanwhile, the blades of our boy and Delkashu clash violently. Our boy prepares to attack his opponent once more. Delkashu again stops the blade with his bare hand. Our boy retreats and prepares to strike again. Delkashu reacts when the blade finally pierces his defense. A cut opens on his neck and he touches it with his hand. He then clenches his fist and curses the boy. The full moon illuminates the top of the ruined castle. Delkashu touches his own neck and comments on the magnificent swordsmanship of his opponent. Our boy continues to stare at him without saying a word. Then the vampire supposes that one day he might be caught. He admits that it is not as if he can continue taking blows forever as other vampires appear behind him. The vampires all advance together toward our boy. He prepares for the imminent attack. With a single motion, he cuts down one of the approaching vampires. He curses the vampires, for he hid among the corpses only to face Zeus in a one-on-one battle. Our boy realizes that there is no end to them. At this pace, he will be exhausted before he can even bring down Zeus. One of the vampires attacks him with a swift strike. He dodges the blade as it grazes past his face. Our boy realizes that he needs to hurry and deal with them. Another vampire prepares a vertical attack against him. Our boy turns in surprise as he senses a sudden approach. An arrow cuts through the air at high speed and strikes the vampire squarely in the head, interrupting his attack. After the impact, the vampire's body crumbles to the ground. The other vampires react. Recognizing the silver arrow imbued with aura, our boy turns to see where the shot came from. He recognizes Liberpiet Ronda with his bow in hand. A young man beside him waves and shouts that they are there as well. Our boy calls him by name, Jalrin. Next, he sees Similon approaching. Soon after, Daisy appears as well. He is surprised to even see Seklin among them. A group of men advances, with their leader shouting that everyone should die, as all of his targets are now gathered. Liberpiet aims his bow once more. Similon extends her hand forward. Jalrin fires his arrows and strikes down two vampires at once. Daisy and Seklin fight together, defending themselves against enemy attacks. Our boy asks why they are all there, worried about the possibility of them getting hurt. Daisy scolds him for trying to do everything alone, stating that everyone is here now. She declares that this is something they need to face together. Jalren agrees enthusiastically. He then tells his brother to focus solely on the count. Our boy reacts to his companion's words. He understands that it is no longer the time to treat them like children. His gaze becomes focused and resolute for battle. Our boy raises his sword and declares that there is a bastard he needs to deal with. Delcasio asks whether he should start by tearing off his arm. The vampire's arm transforms, growing larger and sprouting sharp claws. Delcasio attacks with his transformed arm, but our boy blocks the blow with his sword. He then brings his hand to his neck and a barrier manifests, repelling the vampire's attack. After the explosion, Delcasio's arm is completely disintegrated. He looks at his own shoulder and questions what just happened. Our boy raises a broken necklace and shouts that it is the necklace of protection. The necklace he found in the ruins shatters on the ground, having fulfilled its purpose. Delcasio stares at him, leaving an opening after his all-out attack. Our boy seizes the moment to use his secret trump card. He declares that the heart of the sword and his heart become one. Then he charges forward to deliver the strike. Our boy releases a powerful, whirlwind-shaped attack. A man with his face partially covered reveals himself and asks how they dare do this to him, Caius. He then shouts that our boy will be the one to die and unleashes his own attack. Our boy's whirlwind begins to overpower his opponent's strike. Caius is struck head-on by the attack. A fissure opens at the neck area, cut by the continuous assaults. Through that opening, our boy prepares for the final blow. He lunges forward with a direct and precise thrust. The strike hits Caius directly in the neck. Our boy remains in his stance, panting after the final movement. Our boy stands as Caius's body collapses to the ground. The head of the vampire lord rolls across the ground, defeated. Fallen, Caius asks whether that is a soul blade. The young man explains that he merely tried to mix the key of the ancient sword with an aura blade. He then wonders whether that truly is a soul blade, the symbol of a grand master. Suddenly, one of the remaining vampires clutches his chest and screams. Daisy and Jalren watch as the other vampires fall one by one. Nagi's men wonder whether they are dying from shock and what is happening. Cus's body disintegrates as our boy realizes that he truly killed him. The archer calls out to him by the title Sir Our Boy. Liberapiet then confirms that he truly killed Cus. Liberapiet explains that, according to the records, vampires who lose their progenitor lose their senses for 1 or 2 days. Our boy asks whether they will recover in a few days, and the archer confirms that now is the perfect chance to eliminate the remnants. He then asks for permission to exterminate all those bastards before the night ends. With a smile, our boy replies that they are the ones who should be asking him for permission. Liberapiet bows and thanks him, saying that thanks to him they avenged their comrades. Our boy watches him with a faint smile. He extends his hand and says that he will count on him so that together they can make the city a good place to live. Then he says that he was going to tell him later but has no choice since he arrived so suddenly. He reveals the crest of the Pietro family, explaining that 300 years ago, his family was also part of the nobility of Gloryland. Liberapiet hands him the crest and asks him to accept it. The archer kneels before him and swears that from that moment on, he will serve him as his lord. From afar, Simulon remarks that she knew he would go so far as to give him his crest. Our boy asks Simulon whether she knows Liberapiet well, and she explains that her information comes from him through her connections. He looks at her in surprise. Then he questions her about collaborating with rebel forces, but she says that she only helped a little. Simulon suggests leaving the rest to Sir Liberapiet and focusing on finding evidence of the Count's crimes. She explains that the more the Count is discredited, the greater the citizens' support will be. Our boy agrees with the strategy. With Sias's death, the support of the citizens was necessary to govern the city of Kushan, so they gathered business leaders and local citizens to form an investigative team and collect evidence. Our boy and Simulon arrive at a chapel, and he asks if that is the place. The two look into the interior of the Great Hall. They walk through the area, and she comments that there is nothing important there. He points to a statue, merely remarking that it is cold and unsettling. But Simulon points to something and asks what that is, as an item on our boy's chest begins to react. Our boy holds the artifact and wonders why it is suddenly glowing. Then the artifact projects unstable energy in front of him. A book materializes from the energy, and he realizes that the object is glowing again, just like that time. Simulon identifies it as the Book of Destiny and suggests that they try to open it. But our boy refuses, explaining that if they open it, they could be sent to the past again, and his disappearance would cause factions to fight over the territory. She then agrees and tells him to put the object away, and he prepares to do so. Suddenly, the book flies out of his hand and opens on its own in midair. An intense light envelops him as the book displays a message. An image of a medallion with a 6-pointed star is shown. He finds himself sitting in a moving carriage under a sunny sky. He covers his face and realizes that he has, after all, been sent to the past. Then he looks around and wonders where he is. The carriage continues along its path through a vast green field. He observes the other hooded people in the carriage and notices that this time he has companions. But he notices something different about one of his companions. Our boy wonders about the pressure emanating from the man seated in front of him. The man then looks at him and asks if he is awakened, calling him by name. He realizes that this person is on a completely different level from the heretical leader he faced. His hand instinctively goes to the hilt of his sword. Our boy realizes that it is not just that man's presence. He notices that all the mana in the area is swirling around him, which makes no sense even for a Grand Master. The man then reveals himself and explains that they met by chance and that he took our boy as his disciple. Our boy understands that this time he is that man's disciple. Our boy asks when he took him as a disciple, and the man replies that it was a week ago. With a smile, he comments that it is miraculous and seems like divine intervention. Our boy asks for forgiveness and notices the difference in that man's demeanor compared to the other cultists. The man introduces himself as Archduke Raytona Celsius and declares that his wish is to eradicate the cultists. He then addresses our boy Benroa, reminding him that a week ago he became his disciple. Now they are on their way to his castle, where the young man will receive his teachings. Our boy finds it strange that he is explaining the entire situation to him. Celsius says that the young man will be under his care and hopes that his aspirations will be fulfilled. A sudden realization dawns on our boy, and Celsius asks whether he has already uncovered the truth. Our boy wonders what is happening in the world. He finds Celsius's kindness strange, considering that he sees him as an anomaly, and wonders whether he knows something. Our boy then replies that for him as well, it is an honor to join the master. He asks him whether he is truly fine with the situation, since he does not even know who he is. Celsius agrees that this is true, and says that for that reason the feeling he has now is fascinating. But he states that one thing is certain about the event that is unfolding when combined with his own purpose. He concludes that the event may be something he agreed to a long time ago, and our boy reacts without understanding. Celsius admits that, to be precise, he also does not know, and that it is merely a feeling he has. Our boy questions what he means by it being just a feeling. Celsius then places his hand on our boy's shoulder. The situation grows increasingly confusing for our boy as the carriage continues on its way. They approach a massive gate. The carriage finally arrives at the city of glowing steel. Our boy observes that somehow he ended up there. Celsius then introduces the place as the City of Knights where he resides, glowing steel. Celsius explains that although he is the Archduke, he entrusts most of the governance to his subordinates in order to teach the next generation of scholars. Along the way, he subtly taught our boy about the common knowledge and etiquette of that ancient era. Thanks to him, our boy was able to gradually adapt to life there. He does not know how to return home, so he has no choice but to focus on the present. The technology and swordsmanship of that place are more advanced, so he must ensure that he gains something from it, just like last time. Celsius informs him that at the castle they are heading to, he has another disciple. He describes him as a sincere and just young man whom our boy will soon meet. They finally arrive at the grand castle. Upon arrival, our boy and a blonde-haired woman react in surprise when they see each other. Celsius stands between the two and asks whether they know each other. Iodine Serum replies that they do, and reminds her master that he is the man who helped her at the cultist chapel about a year ago. Celsius recalls her mentioning that the man used a peculiar sword key, and she confirms that it is correct. He then says that it is fortunate that they know each other, as our boy is now her junior, and he expects her to teach him well. Celsius explains that he took our boy as his disciple, but has been incredibly busy lately. Celsius decides that for now, she will be the one to teach him. He then takes his leave, saying that he has matters to discuss with the magistrates and that he will go on ahead. Our boy can barely believe the situation he finds himself in. The blonde-haired woman stares at him, surprised to meet him again as the Archduke's disciple. He turns to greet her, but she interrupts him and asks what he thinks he is doing. She then places her hands on her hips and asks if that is the proper way to greet one's senior. He realizes that she's already asserting herself through hierarchy. Iodine Serum informs him that regardless of his life until now, he is now one of the master's only two disciples, along with her. She asks if she is wrong, and he agrees that she is right. She instructs him to always keep his actions in mind so as not to disgrace the master. He finds her strict as she demands that he always maintain a neat appearance and proper conduct. She points at his boots and asks when was the last time he polished them. Next, she indicates that his cloak is crooked. And finally, she asks what is wrong with his hair. She scolds him, saying that he is no different from a bandit. Then she asks what it is and why he keeps staring at her hair. Our boy points to his own hair and asks whether she could say something about his as well. Iodine Serum touches her own hair. She steps back quickly as other people watch the scene. As they walk through a courtyard, the woman introduces herself as Iodine Serum. She adds that she is also a member of the Archduke's Royal Guard, the Knights of the Horizon. Iodine admits that, to be honest, he may be stronger than she is. But she heard from the master that he still cannot properly control his sword ki. She grips the hilt of her sword, stating that the only way to learn swordsmanship is by facing each other directly. Then she draws her sword and tells him to draw his, as it is time for his senior to teach him the way of the sword. Our boy understands why he was suddenly called to the training field. Iodine states that she is not doing this to vent her earlier embarrassment and asks him not to misunderstand her. He agrees and draws his sword, saying that there is no need for words before a blade. Iodine Serum explains that since they cannot manipulate mana, they focus on the spirit of the sword. She states that the spirit of the sword has a single will. Then, Iodine demonstrates that will by charging forward to strike. Our boy carefully observes her movement. In the clash, the blades of the two collide with force. He manages to block his instructor's strike. She then reveals that mana simply gathers in accordance with that will. He then understands that this is something completely new. Iodine comments that a constitution that directly controls mana would be advantageous. But she reminds him that mastery is the pillar and mana is the roof. Building a strong foundation is the most important thing. Iodine then asks him to try to raise the aura of his sword. Our boy concentrates, and a power begins to form around his blade. Our boy finally succeeds and says that he understands. Iodine Serum observes his blade carefully. Then she turns and offers her own sword to the young man. Iodine asks him to try raising the aura with her sword as well. He prepares himself for the new challenge. But our boy questions what is happening with the blade. He wonders why the sword is behaving that way. Iodine then states that it is just as she expected. The instructor explains that a sword's aura is the manifestation of the blade's spiritual power. And a better sword possesses stronger spiritual power, which is why he succeeded earlier. She classifies him as a low-level specialist, barely at the introductory level, leaving him surprised. Iodine reveals that this level is the stage of reading the sword, swinging it along the path it reveals. Our boy's first step is to develop the ability to release aura with any sword. She then declares that there will be a special training session that night. After the training, our boy is lying exhausted in the middle of the courtyard. Iodine calls him by name as he turns on the ground. She then asks whether the ground is supposed to be his bed. The instructor warns him not to disgrace his master's reputation and to be careful. Iodine asks why he is wearing the same clothes as yesterday, and our boy replies that he did not sleep. He then stands up and grips his sword with determination. An energy begins to envelop the blade of his sword. Our boy delivers a powerful slash into the air. His master watches in complete surprise at the feat. He explains that he practiced all night, which is why he managed to do something he could not before. Iodine retorts that not even the most brilliant talent could achieve that in less than a week. Despite that, she congratulates him and says they can move on to the advanced stage. Our boy asks her to proceed with the training. Then the two begin an intense combat in the courtyard. Our boy attacks with force and Iodine blocks the strike. She holds her ground against his assault. Then, in a rapid exchange of blows, he pressures her with his attacks. Two spectators wonder how our boy can be like that, and one of them notices that Iodine is actually being pushed back. The instructor comments that he is even using sword support. Iodine then leaps and charges at him with an aerial attack. He carefully observes her movement. Her blade stops just centimeters from our boy's neck. He wonders how she could be so fast. After the strike, Iodine throws her sword into the air. She explains that this is the level of sword specialist, where the sword moves on its own. Our boy then understands that there is a stage where the sword moves even before he thinks. Iodine informs him that in 2 weeks there will be an exchange event with a scheduled duel. And naturally, all eyes will be on our boy Van Roa, the direct disciple of Archduke Rutena. Iodine states that he absolutely must advance one more stage before then. Our boy smiles and says that it is just as expected. He then declares that this is fun. A voice approaches, scoffing at that man. Rutena. The man questions how Rutena took in an orphan and now a vagrant of unknown identity. Then Kasiji Celsius reveals himself, criticizing Rutena's choice to accept mere strangers as disciples. Kasiji Celsius says that the Grand Duke's judgment is terribly poor and that he should have inherited the position. Iodine warns him to watch his words as many eyes are watching. He then asks her if she is trying to lecture him just because Rutena declared her his successor. Kasiji continues, saying that she is only an advanced specialist even after everything he did for her. And the novice, our boy, is nothing more than a pathetic, low-level specialist. He then demands to see the treasure that Rutena confiscated, but Iodine says that it cannot be shown. Kasiji again asks if she is trying to give him a sermon. Our boy watches Iodine tolerate the situation and calls her master. He offers to let Kasiji verify whether Rutena's judgment was accurate or not. The man questions him, not understanding the proposal. Our boy suggests that they have a match if he does not trust his swordsmanship. Iodin tries to stop him, but Kasiji wonders who would fight with a mere disciple. Our boy then asks if the solution is not simple, and states that all he needs to do is shut everyone up with his impeccable skill. The spectators whisper among themselves about the young man's audacity. Kasiji Celsius clenches his fist and questions his nerve. Then he turns and says that he will see how long our boy's insolence lasts. She then turns to our boy, saying that this is serious and that their master is a problem. He merely smiles and asks if she is done laughing. Iodin looks away and says that she could not hold it in earlier. Our boy states that no matter what schemes he uses, they only need to defeat everyone. She then agrees and tells them to resume training. Later that night, our boy walks outside the courtyard. He then spots Iodin sitting on a stone bench and calls out to her. Approaching from behind, our boy asks if she came out to train again. She replies that she was just looking at the stars. Our boy realizes that he used informal speech without noticing. Iodin invites him to look at the stars as well, and the two sit together. Iodin says that she will not scold him for the informal speech since no one is watching, and calls him her savior. In a memory, our boy simply responds. Iodin continues, saying that it is a bit late, but that she was very grateful that he saved her and the children. He then suggests that if she is grateful, she should use formal speech, since he saved her life and is older. Our boy asks if she likes looking at the stars, and she replies that she likes to look at the 13 main deities, which makes him curious. She explains that all stars move, but there are 13 that do not move and remain in place, named after the deities. He then asks her why she likes those stars. Iodin points to a star, Mibabar, the goddess of wisdom, which rises only above their heads there. She reveals that when she was young, she did not know where she belonged, but when she saw that star, she realized where she should be, and that is why she likes to look at the 13 main deities. Then Iodin stands up to leave, saying that she needs to prepare a lecture, but our boy reminds her that she has already finished it. He teases her, saying that she is just running away because she is embarrassed. Day breaks in the Great Hall. Iodin and our boy walk together down a corridor. Before opening the door, Iodin asks him if he is ready. With a confident smile, our boy simply answers yes. They then step out into a large courtyard where many other warriors are waiting for them. Our boy is surprised by the enormous number of people present. A group of men asks if he is the Grand Duke's direct disciple, and one of them says they will find out soon enough. He then realizes that everyone seems eager to tear him apart. Our boy understands that countless people wanted that position, so they would not look upon him kindly. An older man announces that, in celebration of the gathering, friendly duels may begin. The combat arena is presented as the fighters take their positions. Our boy waits alone at the center of the arena. His opponent stares at him from the other side of the field. The man says that he does not know why the Grand Duke chose him as his direct disciple, but he claims that this will soon change because he will win and take that position. Our boy watches him in silence. His opponent then releases his power. Our boy smiles faintly at the challenge. Then he grips his sword and says that he can come at any time. He charges at high speed toward his opponent. The two blades collide with tremendous force. The man is shocked by our boy's overwhelming power. Our boy then breaks his opponent's blade and prepares for the final strike. The opponent then realizes that he's about to die, and he lunges with his blade toward his opponent's neck. The man falls to the ground, defeated. Iodine watches the scene, completely stunned. Kasiji Celsius is left speechless by what he has just witnessed. Our boy then turns to the crowd and simply calls for the next challenger. A new opponent takes position in the arena, raising his sword toward our boy. He then charges forward with a powerful strike. Our boy prepares for the counterattack. With a single motion, he dodges the blow and brings his opponent down. Our boy rests his sword on his shoulder and calls for the next challenger. Other knights watch the fight from a distance. Then he defeats another opponent with a precise strike and asks for the next. He knocks down the following one with a punch and, with the man already on the ground, calls for the next. The spectators comment that he is a monster for having defeated one of their uncles. Kasiji Celsius watches the scene with disdain and then turns and leaves the area. He wonders if those were all the opponents his great-uncle prepared, finding it easier than he imagined. A final opponent approaches, and our boy asks if he's the last training partner. The mysterious figure announces, "Here I come," and charges to attack. Our boy prepares for combat, concentrating power into his sword. His opponent rushes in swiftly to strike. Then the mysterious figure leaps to deliver an aerial blow, but our boy parries the strike and the opponent's sword flies from his hand.